Hey kids, you are about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. The greatest podcast on God's flat earth. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We have received some feedback saying that I should cut back on the use of overly complicated medical terms such as monoclonal antibody and kind of cold, huh? So I will try to stick to more common terminology in the future. Here to help with that is our producer Cameron.
Heyo.
Cameron is so dedicated to making sure that we stay relevant to our listeners that when he heard that Martin Luther King Jr. Day is here, he spent weeks trying to gather enough coins for what he referred to as His Majesty's tax.
Wow.
So for our listeners' knowledge, Martin Luther King Jr. was not actually a reigning monarch, but rather he was an American Christian minister and activist. He became the most visible spokesperson and leader of the civil rights movement from 1955 until his assassination in 1968.
Well, Andy nailed those rules up on that door.
Yes.
And that's what was so, like, ballsy of him, because that wasn't even his door. Can you imagine just, like, going up to some guy's door and you just, like, nail these, like, rules or whatever to it?
Okay, well, I think you might be
how tough
confusing.
that is?
Yeah, and that does sound pretty tough. And you're referring to the, whenever they nailed it to the door of the church. That happened centuries ago, though.
Yeah.
We're referring
That's
to...
why we honor it every Martin Luther King Day.
So this is actually Martin Luther King Jr. This is a different... the names are similar, though.
Oh, it's his son.
No, so it... Well, we can move on from there anyway. Also with us is Digital in the house. Hello, I'm Dr. London Smith. I feel like that the earth is flat. I believe that the earth is flat. Hey! I believe that the earth is flat. Whoa!
I feel like that the earth is flat.
Dr. London, I don't think we should talk about that on this episode. I don't want to get into your weird conspiracy beliefs.
I believe that the earth is flat. Hey! I believe that the earth is flat. Whoa!
I feel like that the earth is flat.
Okay, so, and maybe I should clarify. So, I think DJ Dylan in the house, he might have been playing, like, possibly a remix, sort of, something I said.
No, yeah, that's what he does. That's his job.
Right, and so just to clarify, I believe the earth is, and this might be a little bit controversial to some people, but I believe it's spherical, like it's circular,
Ugh.
kind of.
Dr. London.
Okay, no, I didn't.
Why? Oh.
I didn't.
That's the shape you think it is?
So, and later.
But why does it have a butt?
No, I don't. Like, okay. I don't think that. I mean, defining a particular butt is difficult given the science that we have. But I'm saying, like, if you could find one, I guess is more my point.
You're saying you're confident that the Earth does have a butt and we just haven't found it yet?
Yeah, which I don't think is that crazy of it.
No.
No, there's a lot of things that we don't know yet.
I think the Australian fires might have something to do with it too.
With the Earth having a butt.
It would be where the Earth's butt is, right? Ish.
A fire would be?
No, Australia.
Oh. Well, and I guess I can't say one way or another because...
You got to think, you're a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had someone come in with, let's be frank, fire butt?
I don't think so. Like, you mean like a burn?
No, I mean like, let's
Fire
see.
coming out of it?
Okay, so Taco Bell.
Okay, I don't like how this is going.
So they have like the 5-layer burrito.
I've heard of it.
Now, if you were to down 5 of those, that by math,
5 times 5.
That would be a 25 layers that you've consumed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's happening on the other end of that?
Are you saying that you might have some gastrointestinal trouble?
I'm saying you douse it in fire sauce. You end up on the other side with something we like to call fire butt.
Okay, so you're just talking
and
about...
if you think that that's what's happening in Australia, I do think that's interesting. And now that is my belief system. So thank you.
And later, Cameron tells me that we can expect a special guest. So look forward to that.
That is right.
All right, before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. Quote, wood and bacteria. Maybe a sterile coating on the table would work. We got all the food poisoning from a Pizza Hut ice machine once, and then we went camping and, Jesus save me, it was awful. Bless everyone this blessed day. End quote. First of all, we here at the Jock Doc podcast would like to thank you so much for your question. We always appreciate hearing back from our listeners. To answer your question, I'm afraid that I'm not familiar with the process of sterilizing a wooden table. But yes, you can get a form of food poisoning from ice, or rather from the contaminated water contained within the ice. Although that would be an uncommon occurrence in the United States.
Would you be able to sterilize a whatchamacallit?
Table? A wooden table?
No, what's the thing? Like when wood attacks you? You know what I mean? When you like put hand...
Like a splinter?
Maybe. It's like you put your hand on maybe like a wood table or a tree.
Okay.
And then it attacks you. It like shoots you with like a little needle right into your hand. You go, oh!
Okay. So usually if that happens, it's not actually the tree attacking you. It's more, assuming that I follow what you mean, it's more that the force of your hand pushing on it pushes a splinter from the tree or the piece of wood into your hand. So your own force, you generate the force. It's not actually the tree attacking you.
Even when I've like really pissed the tree off.
Okay. Well, how have you managed to offend a tree?
Well, I mean, what's the best way to piss off a tree? It's to piss on a tree.
Is it? I assume that they would.
I would imagine so.
Because
anytime I've ever done that to you, you got pissed.
Yeah, that is true. It's just I have
This is a real bathroom centric episode. I don't know what's going on in your head.
No,
Is this what we're doing for 2020? I know we're a few weeks into the new year, but you had said you wanted to kind of explore some new directions for the show. Was this?
No,
You were thinking a little fartier.
No, I just thought like maybe sometimes we stray a little bit in terms of who our guests are.
Yeah.
In terms of, sort of the topics that we approach. So I was thinking like we just kind of dig down deep and just go after the science, just pure science.
No, I mean, most of our guests have been strays. That is correct.
Okay. I'm sorry, I should clarify that. That's my fault. What I mean is that they're strange, and they're sort of like, I'm not sure how you find them because they don't seem to be scientists.
That's what I just told you how I found them. For the most part, they're stray people, like a stray cat.
Like you just find them around?
Yeah. Or maybe, they like live in a neighborhood and everyone in the neighborhood kind of collectively feeds them. So they just kind of go to a different doorstep every day, just kind of eating.
Okay, so you are very, very specifically describing like a stray cat or dog, except this is a person.
Yeah, or people, most of our guests.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't realize that that's how we went about collecting them, I guess.
You've never asked.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. Well, so to this listener, thank you for your question, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon here on the Jock Doc podcast. Now for a tale from the clinic. We had a patient with a history of prostate cancer present with eye muscle pain and paralysis, for which we had given him steroids and taken a biopsy of his temporal artery.
It's because the eye strain. It's because he was trying to look at it, right?
At the prostate?
Yeah.
No, okay, so
And he like couldn't get all the way around.
okay, so for our listeners, what Cameron's
Or it was like a
describing-
series of mirrors and he was having to squint because it was like reflecting so much.
No, so usually someone else will diagnose the prostate cancer in someone. It won't be him having to see it physically, because that.
Well, yeah, I assume that's why he went to the doctor, because he strained his eye while trying to get a peek.
Yeah, and good idea. I just, in this instance, those two didn't seem to be related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he had also had 2 separate episodes of pericarditis, which resolved spontaneously.
Oh, no. I have that DVR'd. I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers.
Of pericarditis.
Yeah, I've got both those episodes like ready to go, but I have not started it yet.
Okay, so he had
Go ahead.
2 episodes of pericarditis. And then his lab showed a decline in kidney function as well as an elevation in inflammatory markers. On top of all that, a rheumatologist had told him that he likely had lupus. So a given doctor can usually know how to do the workup for each of these organs and systems, but there's only so much time in the day and so many resources available. So this is an example of why we have specialties, so that no one problem goes overlooked. And it is also why having a primary care doctor is so important, because they can take these varied symptoms and advise the patient regarding the larger clinical picture.
What is your specialty, Dr. London? I don't think we've ever really discussed that on this show.
Yeah, so I'm general doctor, sort of.
No specialty whatsoever.
No,
I guess that makes sense.
I'm all the specialties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure when someone's that special, you just call them general.
Uh-huh,
You're just
that's
like,
right.
oh, you have general talents. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how people phrase that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm kind of detecting a tone here, but yeah. So they'll say, hey, we need the surgery done.
Yeah.
The surgeon's out.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. I'm the master. I don't want to flatter but yeah, no, I'm the master of all of the trades as well. But they'll call me in for the surgery. But it's more how my schedule looks. Now for today's medical topic, acute arterial occlusion. Acute arterial occlusion is technically also the term for a heart attack or the stroke, since it simply means a sudden onset of blockage of an artery. But in this case, we are specifically referring to the occlusion of an artery in the leg, usually blocking the common femoral artery. So the arteries usually become blocked because a clot forms inside of the heart and moves away from that location to the site where it gets stopped. In this case, the common femoral artery of the leg. When a clot forms, a blood clot, and it stays in one place, it's called a thrombus. And when it breaks off and moves to another part of the body, it's called an embolus. So when an embolus blocks the common femoral artery to cause an acute...
What is this word you keep saying?
Which of the words? The thrombus?
No.
The embolus?
No, those are all normal.
Okay. The common femoral artery?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the last one.
Artery?
Yeah. Is that like the nipple holder?
Yes.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by nipple holder.
Like this bad boy. Around the nipple.
Oh, you mean the areola?
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's what this is?
No, sorry. So the areola is that skin
The
surrounding the
nipple
nipple.
holder? Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the arteries are the blood vessels going away from the heart,
Okay.
typically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the common femoral artery is one of the larger arteries in your leg. Does that make sense?
I don't. I haven't. I mean, I don't think so.
Well, what do you?
I've only got the 2. I mean, I'm not a cat. I don't have like that kind of stuff going on down lower.
I'm sorry. So you have. Is it an issue that you don't think that you have this many arteries in your legs?
The nipple holders. I've only got the 2.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I should once again. So these are
I'm
arteries.
a guy. I'm not a. If I was a girl, yeah.
So, yeah. So these are the arteries.
I'm like a dude. You know what I mean?
These are the arteries,
Football.
not the areolas.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just. So when an embolus blocks the common femoral artery, not the areola, but the artery,
Yep.
to cause an acute arterial occlusion, patients will typically present with the 6 Ps. Pain, and that's acute and severe in onset, so the patient can actually tell you exactly when and where it happened, and the pain might have even caused them to sit down or fall to the ground. So that's the first P, is pain. Then
Perkiness.
there's...
When it's
close.
like cold enough.
Okay, well, there's pallor, which is pale skin.
Yep.
Okay. There's paralysis.
They can be, I mean, all different like colors and stuff. Some are darker than others.
All right, and then there's paresthesias. So that's like a tingling and numbing sensation. And pulselessness. Okay.
Okay.
So diagnosis is with the arteriogram. And this is for the arteries, not the areolas, the blood vessels, okay? So use the arteriogram to define the site of occlusion, and an echocardiogram, which is like an ultrasound for the heart, and an EKG to look for a heart problem as a source for the emboli.
And you're looking at the heart because it's right next to what?
The areola, the nipple holder,
Yeah.
right?
And you don't want to get a blockage or anything, because then the milk backs up. Then you sweat it out. Get so much buildup. Smell like milk all day long. No one wants to talk to you.
So from this point, the main goal of treatment is to assess the viability of tissues, in the leg to salvage the limb.
I got nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I completely understand. No questions, no comments.
Okay.
Your nipples get too backed up, you get milk flowing out your leg. You cut off that leg, just shoots milk out.
Well, I feel like I described something a little bit different, but we can move on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since you've got, well, I don't think you quite understood, but we can move on. All right, Cameron, do we have a sponsor today?
Sort of. It's not really a sponsor. I'm actually excited about this. The state government got in contact with us about doing some PSAs for our audience, which I thought would be really cool and kind of beneficial to the community.
Yeah, it sounds great for public health and that sort of thing.
And so they kind of gave us a list of them. So I'm going to go through them. And then if we need to cut them up and maybe like move them around different episodes, we can just go ahead and do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of go through them.
Record them all here now and then disperse them as needed.
Exactly. We can just go through them later.
Okay.
So the first one, which is a big issue, which is texting and driving.
Right. Yeah.
People,
it's caused a lot of deaths.
Look, I know that most of the people negative affected by texting and driving are the worst among us, right?
Well,
like
I mean,
they're kind of the people who like deserve what's coming to them a little bit.
Well, I'm not.
Who needs to text that much? You know, it's the worst person you know.
Not necessarily.
So like, there's part of you that's probably like, well, whatever happens, if they drive into a ditch and something happens, like who cares?
Well, no,
And I know that you say stuff like that all the time, Dr. London. But I'm here to say don't text and drive. Even if you get a pic in your phone of a dog on a phone and the person you're talking to says, caption this, wait until you get to a stoplight to caption it.
Okay, that part I do agree with.
Don't be driving around and say, oh, the dog is probably, you know, on the phone with BarkBox and is like, oh, I need to talk to your customer service.
Right, yeah, no, I agree. We should, like, for
That would
drivers
be a
out
funny
there.
thing to do, but you can't do it. Not while you drive.
Yeah, not until after you are done, or, you know, pull over if you feel that that's that much of an emergency to caption it there.
Yeah, if you have to do it right now, if it's a contest in a group chat and you're trying to get in there first, stop. I mean, you don't have to pull over, but you can just stop and just send it.
I would say you should pull over in that instance because stopping suddenly could result in a car accident.
So the second thing that they have is coughing. Coughing, which is the silent killer. I take an issue with that description because I feel like it's an extremely loud killer. It's not silent at all, but I digress.
Hold on that one. You say, like, what about coughing?
It kills. It spreads germs that kill.
So they're saying don't cough?
I think it's saying cover your coughs better. And it kind of has a diagram here. I can't show it on the show. But what you want to do is sort of just bend forward as much as you can.
Okay.
Like in a sort of like a sitting position. You want to go down like this. And then you just want to
Okay.
right into your pants if you can do it.
Okay, you're just bending over.
Wherever
trying to
you
cough in your
are,
pants.
whatever you're doing, stop. Maybe you might want to stretch for like a minute or two beforehand.
Get limber.
Yeah. And then you just want to like bend over as far as you possibly can.
Yeah, so
Right into your pants area. Just give it a cough.
this is just different from what I've learned is the best way to.
And you've been doing it the unhealthy way. You've probably been coughing into your arm.
In my elbow, yeah.
Well, what happens if you meet a person and you start rubbing your arm on them? Those are germs that are spread.
That's true, and I guess for me it's normally that I'm not quite flexible enough generally to cough into my pants.
Yeah.
And I guess this is just also promoting stretching.
Yeah, and also just not being as unhealthy as you have been, clearly.
Okay.
So the next one, and this one is actually pretty important to me. It's male breastfeeding.
Okay.
Look, just because there's nothing coming out of there doesn't mean you can't give the baby something.
Right. Well,
There's no milk coming out of a pacifier, right? Baby still likes it. So just
Sure.
pop a nipple in there. You got a hungry baby, but the mom's not around? Shove a nipple in there.
The mom. You're saying like you just come across a baby
Yeah, and it's loud, crabby.
and there's no mom
It's like,
around.
no, leave me alone.
Okay, so it can talk as well.
Whatever.
And you're saying the first instinct should be to try to feed it from your nipple, even if you are male, the stranger.
Just give it a
child.
give it a shot. That's it. I'm not saying it's gonna solve, world hunger. I'm just saying like maybe it helps. I don't know.
So I would say probably you could also just try to find their parents for them.
Yeah, but while you're doing that, you can calm them down a little bit. Just offer them a little something. That's it.
And that's what the government PSA said.
It's right here.
Okay. All right.
The next one, let's see. So this has actually been sort of an issue over the last 15 years or so in the United States. There's actually been a huge declining bird population.
Okay.
And that's sort of been an issue. People have wondered why, and sort of what they've come around to is it's mostly stray cats. People not spaying and neutering their cats, so we have more stray cats than we've ever had.
Okay.
And it's kind of worsening bird populations.
Okay, I assume that pollution might have had something to do with it as well, but you're saying
I'm sure that's part of it, but like
stray
an
cats.
increasing amount of stray cats in the U.S. has, and this is a genuine stat. It's declined the bird
Right.
population.
Okay.
And so sort of what the government is wanting us to do is kind of just take whatever you have. If you have a gun, that's great. If you have maybe like a pan that you can make as hot as possible, or even just boiling water.
And
Well,
do
what
what
do you
with
think?
it?
You take care of the problem. Sometimes you need to take matters into your own hand. That's what this message is about. You can't rely on the government to do everything.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes you got to take the tools that you got, and you just got to hack away.
You're saying the government PSA says you can't rely on the government to do everything?
Yeah. So take a baseball bat, find a cat, do what comes natural. I'm not endorsing anything. I'm not saying anything.
Are you
Just do whatever you feel will help the increasing stray cat population. That's it.
who contacted you about this?
Well,
Like,
I can't say.
who
It's
was-
like
Who do you know that like works for the government? How did this happen? Because that doesn't telling you not to trust the government to take care of this problem, to take the law into your own hands, sounds like something the government wouldn't tell you to do.
it was George Bush Senior.
You have that book club.
Yeah. Well, we had a book club,
Yeah. Okay.
and one of his like kind of final wishes was to like, he had this cat in his backyard that kind of pissed him off, and he wanted to kind of enact his revenge through his influence.
So this is part of like his dying wish was to have you take care of this.
Mm-hmm. And so the next one we can move on. Next one on the list: eating stray cats. What you want to do is you want to put them in a pan and you want to make it as hot as possible.
Okay.
You want to put butter and you want to put salt in there and you want to put sour cream and then a little bit of chives into the mix. You can find this recipe online, and then you just want to mix it up as much as you can, and then you just go for it. It's one of the easiest recipes.
And do you have to like there are a number of concerns that I have there because I like doing. Are you describing animal cruelty to any extent here?
No. The cat is dead by the time you eat them.
But you have to skin it, I guess.
Whether or not the previous PSA for killing stray cats is connected to this second PSA about eating stray cats, that is not for me to determine.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But
For legal reasons, I cannot say that those two are connected in any way.
But here we are. Okay. So you have this. So it's a
Sour
very,
cream, chives, little salt, little butter, little
Right.
pepper. That's all you need. Stir it up.
with the cat.
Yeah, the remains of the cat. Whatever you want to eat. I take it over easy.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know how I take
Well,
my.
I'll whip you up something after this, and we'll figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, the next PSA. Whatever happened to pillow fights? This one's just from the Pro Pillow Fight Consortium. I guess they had lobbied with George Bush.
Senior.
Just like they were so fun as a kid. Like, what happened to them? You know what I mean?
Well, so it's just a PSA letting people,
So the
reminding people
Yeah, just like
that you could have.
yeah,
these.
just like have a pillow fight every once in a while. The next one, stop feeding Jeremy. This is one of the most important ones. It's bolded and in red on mine. Jeremy's been fed way too much. Stop feeding him.
And is Jeremy? Do we know who Jeremy is?
It does not specify.
Okay. Yeah, because come to think of it, I don't know how long ago you got this, but I've been getting push notifications telling me the same thing.
To stop feeding him or
Yeah.
to feed him? Because if it's telling you to feed him, that might be Jeremy.
Okay, it was telling me to feed him.
Okay. Do not listen to those push notifications. Might want to throw away your phone.
No,
Because I don't know what that is or why, but we have to stop feeding him. He's getting fed too much.
apparently.
All right, we've just got a couple more. Do you mind if I just go through them? Sorry,
Yeah, just go
this
quick.
Is,
Yeah, this is all. We're just trying to get out of the way, and then we'll disperse them through the episodes.
this is sort of a similar one to the texting and driving, and it's about drinking and driving, which can be very dangerous. Don't drink and drive and watch Agent Cody Banks at the same time.
Because those are three different activities.
Do not drink and drive and watch the movie Agent Cody Banks at the same time. You can do two of those things. If you want to drive and watch Agent Cody Banks, that's fine. If you want to drink and watch Agent Cody Banks, fine. If you want to drink and drive, it's okay. That's fine.
I
But
disagree.
doing all three, it's dangerous, Doctor. You disagree? You think it isn't dangerous?
No, I'm sorry. I should clarify. I think
Well, how about this? You have your own private roads where all of you guys can be drinking and driving and watching Agent Cody Banks on your phone. But I would rather stay on safe roads where you're only doing 2 of those 3 things at any given time. That's just me.
I would say try to keep, unless the 2 things are watching that movie and drinking, those 2 can be done at the same time. But I would think any combination of drinking and driving is actually a bad idea.
That's what I'm saying. Drinking, driving, and watching Agent Cody Banks. Don't do all 3 at the same time. Just 2 out of the 3. Just pick. And the final one, this just says pickle juice. I don't know. It doesn't say pro or against. It just says pickle juice. I don't know who it's like by or for. Or
yeah.
do you want to?
I have an opinion on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I don't want to take a huge stance on it, but I maybe avoid it.
Okay. Do you have like a medical reason for that?
Not in particular. I mean, it's kind of has some salt, and it seems like no. Let's go neutral on this one.
Okay.
We'll just people can know about it.
All right, Dr. Linden, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I appreciate this. It seems like from now on, I would say like, let's get it from a government official who's alive maybe next time.
That seems so insensitive.
For our,
Okay.
like if we're going to get a sponsor kind of thing, paid advertisement thing,
Yeah.
probably let's get it from the living from now on.
All right. So for those listeners out there, if you have a relative or someone older who requests something of you on their deathbed, do not do it because Dr. London, like most doctors, only cares about the living.
Oh, that's not exact. Anyway, that's good. So we finished it. All right, Cameron, do we have a guest today?
We do, Dr. London.
All right. Hello there.
Hi, I'm Carol Nancy. I'm the female mayor of the MACATJDP Coalition.
Oh, wow.
So we are mothers and citizens against the Jock podcast.
Oh, yeah. I get mailers from you guys.
Well, yeah, Cameron, you're actually my neighbor. How's your mom, Cameron Sr.?
Oh, she's doing okay.
She's
Oh,
better?
no, I mean, she's doing terrible. Yeah. Awful.
I figured she was. I knew from Facebook that she had been undergoing some situations in life. I've been sending her thoughts and prayers, but she stopped responding to my thoughts and her thought box was full, so I just stopped reaching out.
Yeah, well, so the situation she's been dealing with right now is she lost her contacts. So she's kind of just been crawling around the house for, weeks now trying to find them. And, it doesn't look like it's going to get better. And it's not always easy, but it feels good to talk about. Thank you for asking.
Do you check your thought box? Because I'll send you some thoughts and prayers if you check it, but there's no point if you're just going to let it get it full.
How do I access that, the thought box?
It's kind of like how when you check to pee, it's the same thing. You check your thought box. Same feeling.
So I check the little piece of paper that I keep in my underwear to see if I need to go?
Yeah, but the brain version of that. Do you keep a piece of paper in your hat?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to try and introduce myself. I'm drlondonsmith.com. Do you prefer, so it's Carol Nancy. Do you prefer Miss Nancy, Mrs. Nancy?
Please refer to me as Carol.
Carol, okay. All right, I'm sorry if I offended there, Carol. So welcome to the Jock podcast. So you're part of an organization, the Mothers and Citizens Against the Jock podcast. And
yes.
I can't help but notice the name of our podcast being within the name of your organization. And I'm wondering, I just want to clarify the connection there. Is this some other Jock podcast? Or
It's the very same.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that. So what...
And I know what you're worrying about. She does pay royalties for using our name. She sends a check to the Queen of England every single month. She always pays the royalties.
I don't think that the Queen... Wait, did you register our name in the Queen's name?
No. I'm saying she pays royalty
Oh, okay.
every month.
Okay, well, back to Carol. So Carol, what do you have against this podcast? Like enough to start an organization?
I'm the mayor of the organization.
Okay, and so I guess that's another question here. You're the mayor. Usually there's a founder of an organization, from my understanding.
I was elected mayor of the MACATJDP.
The MACATJDP?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm not sure exactly what that means.
The MACATJDP, Mothers and Citizens Against the Jock
Okay.
podcast.
You-
I'm an elected official.
I'm
here.
sorry.
You just said that, Dr. London.
I'm sorry. I guess the acronym's still tripping me up a little bit. Okay, so you are the mayor of that organization. What made you decide to start, or at least become a part of this organization, and then lead it?
My kids have been listening to this podcast, and
Oh,
when I
wow.
was
Thank you.
overhearing it, I was hearing a lot of things that I don't think young minds need to hear. So
What did you take issue with?
I've taken issue with every part of it. I don't want them to be brainwashed by doctors.
I agree with that. 100% on board.
And I don't agree with the word thrombus.
Agree with that as well. I felt
I'm sorry, the
really
word?
disgusted by that.
Extremely attacked. Earlier, he said the word spherical. A man should not say that in the presence of anyone else. If he wants to say that word, he needs to be at home alone in his bathroom, staring into the mirror.
That makes sense to me. I mean, even then, I don't know. Like, looking in the mirror, it's kind of like you're with someone else.
True.
Maybe you want to put a towel, like, over your head.
Okay, I guess. Okay, so you have a problem with the use of.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but you know those, like, really, really, I think it's an illegal dish. It's like a really, really expensive bird that you eat bones and all. And you have to, like, it's like tradition that you put a towel over your face because it's, like, covering the shame. I don't remember what it's called, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I guess that sounds vaguely familiar, but I feel like I'm not. That's not a tradition I'm familiar with.
It's like a really, really wealthy thing. It was on like
Oh, then he'll know
Succession
it.
and like Billions and
Okay.
shows like that. So it's kind of like that, but you go into the bathroom and then you put a towel over your head covering your shame and you say thrombus as quietly as possible. That's how I would prefer that.
And if you say it 3 times, then
Who knows?
okay.
Who knows what's going to appear?
I guess so. Just it's a medical term is the reason I was using it. It's like the
I
most
take
accurate
issue with that as well.
with
I
the
don't believe that children should be taught about medical things, especially at young ages.
Do you take issue with any of my part of the podcast?
No, my kids love you.
Great.
My kids are friends with Philip and Thomas.
Oh, great.
They're your neighbors. They come over sometimes, and I love it because when they come back, they're so tired.
Oh, wait, those are your kids?
Yes.
Yeah, because we hang out all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
I love it when they go over. When they come back, they don't even poop.
Yeah. They were in my band. I had to
Yeah, they told me.
get rid of them they weren't good. They sucked, but the great kids.
No, they're
Can't
boring.
keep rhythm like at all.
No, I don't.
to
my
clarify
kids are boring. I
to
can't
clarify
stand
for our
them.
listeners, Philip was a previous guest of ours who was what
A
was it,
chocolatier.
Yep.
6 years old, I think.
Something like that.
And okay, and then them not having to poop afterwards, I'm guessing is because Cameron may have given them his beer, which
His
causes-
bear. His bear.
Yeah.
I'm referring to the constipation paralysis part.
And I'm referring to the fact that he gives them a bear.
Yeah. Can I actually talk to Dr. London privately just for a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, so like the parents, they're not like crazy cool about giving them buddy beer. So I put it in a teddy bear. And then the kids just drink from the mouth of the teddy bear. So the parents just think the kids are just kind of like, making out with the bear.
Right, which
Just
is
kind of like experimenting and like learning
is
about themselves and stuff like that.
normal to
But
do
they're
that.
really just like getting hammered and just like partying.
Yeah,
And
Philip,
that's pretty cool.
To me, it's not as good for, like, you shouldn't have young children exposed to alcohol.
Well, she's saying we shouldn't have young kids exposed to you.
Yeah,
Who
okay,
am
I guess
supposed to believe? Let's get back to our
yeah.
guest.
So Carol, you specifically have an issue
I have
with
an issue with medicine, medical equipment, doctors, nurses, clerical staff at hospitals and doctors. I take issue with all of it. This whole place about to get got. Don't freaking freak with me.
What about medical sponges?
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, because they are kind of just the same as normal sponges. Mm-hmm. But they are medical sponges.
Well, and I guess the follow-up question is, why do you have a problem with medical things?
I don't think that it should be taught to a young child.
Okay, and why do you think that?
It'll confuse them. It'll put thoughts in their heads about their bodies, their blood, their heart, their brain that they just don't need at a young age when they're developing their views on the world.
Is there, I mean, you know, you can be honest with us. Was there anything that maybe happened in your past or with your kids that kind of led you to this decision?
It's mostly just the community that I'm in. We're a homeschool family, and we really raise our flag proudly, that we don't accept anything from the mainstream.
What does that flag look like that you're raising proudly?
It's green and yellow,
Uh-huh.
and it has an HS on it.
Wow.
For homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
So and I noticed it's raised on the back of your wagon when you pulled in.
Always
And I'm
flying
wondering-
high.
And really, really high. Like it's a wagon, but I mean, it's like 3 stories high.
Well, you know how when a car dealership opens up, they do a balloon that's really, really, you can see from really far away.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of the idea. I'm raising awareness. Like, here we go. MACATJDP is here with the HS group, and we're taking the whole system down.
Makes sense.
Okay. And so, well, I guess I see some conflict because I know you aren't supposed to have anything like you seem to be against mechanical things maybe and medicine in general. Anything?
It doesn't sound like mechanical things. It sounds like medical things.
Well, yeah,
Not
but
mechanical, medical.
But any instruments you were saying? Any medical instruments?
What kind of instruments is she talking about? Is she talking about a saxophone? No. She's talking about medical instruments. Dr. London, come on.
Okay. Well, I guess I make my assumptions based on the wagon was being pulled by the children, and that confused me a little bit.
Well, yeah, what else are they good for?
Well, so in my mind, teaching them about science and medicine might make them good for learning.
I'm teaching them about pulling a wagon. That's really all they're going to need to do. You've never heard of a trade school?
I have. I just...
That's for people who aren't elitist, aren't swimming in pools of gold doubloons to exercise. Thank you.
Okay.
Make those kids good for something.
That's what I always say.
Look at what happens. Right now, for the listeners, I'm pointing to Dr. London. Look at what happens when you encourage them to get into the medical field. It's this. And now
Terrifying.
I'm doing my finger in a big circular motion to emphasize that I'm talking about Dr. London.
It's my worst nightmare.
If you encourage your kids to go into the medical field, you end up with a man who is deeply, deeply in debt, who has people angry at him constantly.
Okay, this is...
Who has people, some of our old sponsors who are supposed to love us, harassing him day in and day out. This is what you end up with.
This is because you were handling the sponsorship part, and you have been using my personal funds to pay the sponsors, which doesn't make sense.
I
They're
see
supposed
your
to pay
lips
us.
moving, but it makes no sense to me.
Right. Okay, well, back to... So, Carol, what brings you here on the podcast today, then? If you don't, have an interest in medicine.
It's election year. I'm trying to get reelected as mayor, and so I'm just making the rounds. This is just one of the many podcasts that I'm going to be on this week.
Oh, well, you're going on other shows to try to get elected for the Mothers and Citizens Against the Jock podcast position.
Yes.
Who are you running against?
I'm running against Nancy Carroll.
All right. Calm down, guys. Calm down.
Yeah, we should have done this at such a public place.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what was going to happen, but you did have a huge following when you pulled up in the wagon.
Oh yeah, I've been doing Facebook Live rants for weeks, and we're getting out there.
Well, and just the sheer number of children pulling your wagon.
Well, 7 of them are mine.
Yeah, well, like the
Blipsy, pull it around. Pull the wagon. Pull the wagon around.
And that's the one who just sucked at drums. Just couldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Just couldn't keep up.
So you're running for re-election of MACATJDP. What is your platform then, and how do you differ from Nancy Carroll, Miss Carroll?
I'm bringing why men great till they gotta be great energy to this election.
Wow.
We are women, we are mothers, we are homeschool mothers, and gosh darn it, we are proud. I don't give a care about what Nancy Carroll says about how I'm not as good of a homemaker as she is. Duh, I don't like my kids. I don't like to be around them. So yeah, if I go into the other room and I watch soap operas and I drink a glass of wine while I have them clean the kitchen and they don't do a very good job because they're just little kids, well, that's my business. Okay, and that can be your business too if you just vote for Carol Nancy for mayor of the Mothers and Citizens Against the Jock Doc Podcast Coalition. Thank you.
Well, I gotta say, you got my vote.
Thank you. I knew that I would.
So what are your goals if you were to be reelected? Do you have plans for this next term?
I'm hoping that I can take over the Jock Doc podcast and steer it in the direction that it needs to go in.
Well,
what direction is that?
We need to learn.
What is your ideal version of the show? Because maybe we can make a compromise here. I've been wanting to shake things up here for a while.
Okay, well, we need to learn how to make wagons. We need to learn how to make harnesses. We need to teach children how to pull wagons, very large wagons. We've got a lot of stuff we've got to get across the country.
Across the country? For what
Yeah, we're
reason?
taking this thing nationwide.
You're homeschooled.
Which part of this process are you taking nationwide? Are you saying the wagon, the homeschool part, or the Mothers and Citizens Against the Jock Doc podcast part, or all of it?
All of it. All of it in one is me.
Wow.
And I'm ready to reveal myself to the nation.
And all of it includes even Nancy Carroll.
No, there's no place for her in this new world order.
I'd be interested to hear what her positions are and what her platforms are.
Well, why don't you go down to the Denny's off of the Loop and ask her?
Well, would you mind telling me, even if I know it'll be a more biased view, but some of her alternative ideas? Like, let's say, does she want to bring anything else to the podcast that...
She's trying to teach children how to build boats.
Okay, so...
That's completely irrelevant on land.
Exactly. She's going to have kids pulling boats on land.
Ugh.
What's that about? At least give them wheels.
Now, once again, I don't know her position on these things exactly, and I understand I'm getting it secondhand here, but are you sure that she's proposing children pull boats on land and as opposed to maybe using water to transport?
You'd have to ask her.
Okay.
I don't listen to her enough. She's a quack. You're a quack.
Yeah,
Right.
is this what you're curious about? Like the questioning? She's talking about creating a new world order with her wagon coalition, and you're curious about the other person, whether or not their boat is about for water or land?
Yeah, from the way she phrased it, I thought maybe there could...
I think we could use maybe a change in this podcast a little bit.
Thank you.
If this is the kind of hosting abilities we're getting, yeah. All right, so can we spitball this a little bit?
In terms
What if,
of...
would you accept us changing the name of the show to Wagon Hags?
I like it. right off, it just immediately hits me. It's just,
Well,
wow.
And maybe instead of, we're making a compromise here, so we're still gonna do the patient stories,
let's.
but instead of a patient that you see as a doctor, maybe it's something that you put on a wagon. That's the story.
So the story would be.
I pulled like a stack of toilet paper on a wagon.
Yeah. So can I demonstrate real quick
Yeah.
what I feel like it'd be? Okay.
Yeah.
So today I was walking around and I pulled some sticks with a wagon, and that just goes to show that we need to learn to pull sticks with wagons.
I don't like when you're talking about wagons. Ooh,
You wouldn't let your kids listen to that?
No.
Could you give us an example of what like a patient story would look like on a wagon?
Sure. A patient came in today and they sat quietly and they colored in their coloring book and they left mommy alone for 5 minutes and mommy got to watch her tunes. Those are the types of patients I'm trying to promote on my new podcast, Wagon Hags.
So you're trying to watch cartoons,
Yeah, Tom and Jerry is my favorite.
and the children are opposed to this. They want to watch science shows? Is that the problem?
No, they just want to talk to me. They just want to say, make me oatmeal.
And you just want to watch Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of listening to them. God.
Well,
Or go ahead, Dr.
I was
London.
going to say, isn't Tom and Jerry mostly silent? So it's not like the talking would...
There's music.
Okay.
Oh, you want to jam out on some of that Tom and Jerry music. Okay, I get that. And your kids yapping and yapping. I mean, I kind of get it. You have a place on this show is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Do you see what I'm working with? We can really mix things up here.
So I guess one thing I'm thinking, and we can continue with it, maybe if you just made your own podcast, because this sounds very different from ours.
I don't know.
It really sounds like it would just seamlessly fit right in as long as you were no longer here.
Yeah, it's the same show. We just get rid of the parts that are, negative towards our nation's children.
Okay.
And we replace it with parts that are a little more positive and uplifting for our nation's children.
Exactly.
Such as teaching them wagon etiquette, teaching them to leave you alone, teaching them to just screw off.
So that does bring me to another part. Usually towards the beginning of the podcast, we'll mention some feedback that we've gotten, some sort of things to correct and work on, which probably is what a lot of the children sound like whenever they come in and say they'll give you feedback on what's going on in their lives. And so how would you change our current format to fit your desires for what you would want the wagon pulling theme of the podcast to be?
Very well worded, host of the show. We definitely don't need a new host.
Thank you.
So what he's trying to say is if one of those kids come up to you with some feedback, how do you reply?
I just say, you're boring.
Perfect. This is great. This is way shorter than our patient segments currently or whatever, our feedback section.
Okay. And how would you address the...
We spend so much time on this show talking about nipple holders and all this kind of weird story stuff. I don't know. Let's get to the heart of it. Wagons.
And I guess the medical topic would just be replaced with, say how to replace a wagon wheel, that kind of thing.
Or maybe colors of wagons.
I do really like wagons, and for children, yes, I want them to learn mostly about wagons because that's what their life is going to be about.
Yeah, of course.
But really, for me, we're spending a lot of time talking about wagons when I've got other things to do. Yes, wagons for kids.
Okay, what else are we
What are we missing
talking
here?
about on the show?
We're needing to subtly implant in them the New World Order.
Right. Because I wanted to ask about this. You talked about kind of taking your movement across the country,
Yeah.
and we can see from the crowd size. I mean, this is a lot of people we're talking. How many people are in this organization right now?
4,500.
Okay, yeah, that's a good size. Mm-hmm. So this little congregation you have,
Yeah.
What is the ultimate plan you had briefly mentioned before, expanding to a new world order? Is this starting your own government? Is this wanting to take over our current form of government?
Yes, we have a totally separate form of government that we believe is the right way to do things.
Right.
And so we are ready to put that into place.
What does this new government entail?
Everyone's selling their homes, living in wagons.
Okay, on board.
And we're going to just go around the perimeter of our countries all the time in our wagons.
Just over and over again.
Yeah, we're going to find the lizard people. We're going to kill them, unfortunately.
It feels like you skipped a step. So we're going in circles endlessly until we die.
And also,
And at a certain point, we're going to find lizard. When does that part happen?
The lizard people live on the border.
Oh.
so geographically, that's why we
That's why we're doing the border thing.
patrol the
Right, and once
perimeter.
we're done with that, who knows?
How do you-
Possibilities endless.
Okay, so these lizard people, have you? I'm sure on all of your journey you've seen them. Have you interacted with them, or is this something you're still like waiting to see?
You'd be surprised how many lizard people you encounter in a day-to-day.
Okay, well, why are you're kind of covering your mouth a little bit, and do you guys need a sidebar for a second?
I think that Cameron's on the same page. I think that he can understand.
I think.
Because you're looking at me.
Well, you're sort of. I mean, you've been talking about your issue with Dr. London, talking about issue with certain people in certain professional fields who are pushing certain medical agendas. So are you suggesting? I mean, are you suggesting that Dr. London and all doctors like him are lizard people?
I'm more than suggesting it.
Hey, Dr. London.
Hey, so I did step out for a second because you guys were really taking your time with figuring out whatever you're talking about. Yeah, so this New World Order
What did
thing.
you do when you stepped out?
Oh, I just I wanted a bite of chips, so
Yeah.
I took a bite.
Did it taste like flies?
No, it tasted a lot like chips.
Like fly chips?
Well, no, it tasted more like regular. What are fly chips?
I don't know. It sounds like something you would like, though, doesn't it?
I guess I don't follow.
When you got here today, how did you arrive? You didn't have to like climb a ladder and move a manhole cover or anything.
No, so I actually got here by car. Just drive the car and then pulled up. There's a sunroof though, if that's what you're referring to.
So you can get more flies into your car.
I guess I'm not following because.
Because you love eating flies.
Are you talking about the food you've left in my car? That's been gathering. It's
Gathering what exactly?
flies. Yeah,
He said it.
Yep. DJ Dylan, did you get that?
Yes.
Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, we got it.
So you got me saying that flies had gathered around the food that you left in my car.
What temperature does your blood run?
It's 98.6.
That you are putting yourself into a corner, mister.
And that's Fahrenheit.
That's
by the way.
freezing. You're a cold-blooded animal.
Okay, this might be a problem with you not learning about science.
I'm running at 104 24 hours a day.
Are you really?
That's what humans do.
You have been sweating a
What
lot.
are you?
Okay, I thought you were going to go on with that sentence, like doing tomorrow.
I would also like to know that.
Okay, well, so for the first part, human. For the second part, because you had told me we got to go to the park. We got to advertise more. And you told me to bring the skeet shooter clay or clay discs. You told me to bring a whole bunch of those. So I have those. But you didn't give me any further details. So that's
clay pigeons. That's what they call them. Pigeons, which fly. You know what else flies? Flies.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
What is the next step here? We have all this information. I'm
Wagons.
trying to process everything. But what is the next step? Is wagons.
Okay, so
immediately after this, when this recording ends, wagons.
All day, every day, until we have built our wagon army.
Okay, wagons.
So it's an army of wagons.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and that sounds, I'm not sure that I see how that would play out exactly, because you'd go to the
You're
perimeter.
not meant to.
Nope. This is designed for people like you to not get.
Because there are a few minor issues, like how I don't see at the border, the perimeters.
How you can't get enough flies to sustain your disgusting cold-blooded body.
Well, like, if you go to the perimeters of the country, then you're going to run into problems with wagons, because even like regular cars can have difficulty with the terrain. And so I imagine a wagon would be that much more difficult.
Well, it makes sense that you're being very negative about this idea and not wanting to cultivate it further. It makes a lot more sense than you realize.
Your motivations are clear.
Okay. Well, I guess that's...
I mean, was there anything else you had to say? I mean...
I will be releasing a smear campaign ad. And I wanted to just let you know ahead of time, I'm going to be exposing you.
Did you want Dr. London to say anything in the ad? Because we can record it right now.
I don't think that I want to.
I have all the recordings I need.
Could you just, we're going to get it clean. DJ Dylan, you're recording? Okay, so we're just going to get it clean. Like, I lay eggs. I have scales for skin. Just say that. Go ahead.
I don't think I want to
Go
say
ahead.
that.
We're not going to stop until you say it. Just go ahead.
I have human skin.
Nope. Just go ahead and say, I'm not going to give you your keys back.
Okay, well that's a banana. No, but it is my banana.
Yeah, you
but
can't have it. Say it.
I lay eggs. What's the other?
I have scales for skin.
I have scales for skin. Is that
it? You good? We got
Yeah.
this? There it
okay.
is.
Well, to our listeners, that wasn't true. I have human skin. I am human. I'm sorry if this
In
generates...
current form.
And thank
Sure.
you for listening to Wagon Hags.
All right. So thank you to Digital in the House.
Hey, Dr. London.
I pooped in my trousers. I pooped in my trousers. And thank you to our producer, Cameron. Thank you to Carol Nancy for being on the show.
You won't be thanking me when my wagon armada comes down on your head like hot heat in the summer.
I am drlondonsmith.com. This has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
Wagon Hags.
The clock ticks. Then it proceeds to talk. At this point, you know what is coming, but you hold your breath anyway, hoping for some change. But this horror that you had expected indeed comes to pass. Against every fiber of your being, contrary to all that you were rooting for in this life, the clock commits a horror by. ticking once more after that talk. An even greater horror, though, would be to avoid telling your friends about the Jock Doc podcast. Yeah, it's shivering my timbers. So come on, just send them a link to your favorite episode, or send them our handy website, jockdocpodcast.com.
Or send them a link to your least favorite episode and scare them.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at JockDocPodcast. Also, don't forget to leave a 5-star review in which you write what you hate most about clocks ticking and also occasionally talking. Thanks for listening.